So what if the whole idea of a problem child is, well, the actual problem? Today, we're going to dig into this really powerful idea that suggests maybe we've been pointing our cameras in the complete wrong direction. And you know what? It's a simple shift, but it could seriously change everything.
All right, so where does this all begin? Well, it actually starts with something we all do probably every single day. We label things. It's kind of like a mental shortcut, right? It helps us make sense of the world. But, and this is a big but, when it comes to kids, that shortcut can be a real trap.
The key word on the screen there is Snell. That means quickly. And that's what this is all about, right? The source points out how it's almost a reflex. A kid is struggling, and bam. Before we even take a breath to ask why, our brain just snaps to a conclusion. They're the problem.
Okay, so let's just stop and think about that for a second. It's a simple question, but it's a big one. When we slap on that label problem, where does our attention go? What do we zoom in on? And maybe even more important, what are we completely missing?
Exactly. It's like a spotlight just snaps on and is shining directly on that one child. Suddenly, they are the project. They're the puzzle we have to solve, the thing that needs to be fixed. Our whole focus just narrows and narrows until we're convinced the issue must be somewhere inside them.
But here's the thought. What if that super narrow focus is exactly why we can't find a real solution? And that brings us to a huge shift, a completely different way of looking at this whole thing.
And here it is. This is the big pivot. It's asking us to totally reframe how we look at this. Instead of starting with the kid in the middle of that spotlight, what happens if we start with everything else? Everything that's going on around them. This right here, this is the alternative. The idea is to shift our gaze, look away from the child as this isolated little island, and instead look at the entire world they're growing up in. All of a sudden, it's not just about one person anymore, it's about the whole ecosystem. This really lays it out clearly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this idea of the child as the problem. That's the fix the individual approach. It's like they're a little machine with a faulty part. But then look at the other side, world as the context. Here, the whole perspective just zooms out. The goal is no longer to fix, but to understand their environment. It's a huge shift from diagnosing a person to analyzing a whole situation.
Okay, so that brings us to the next big piece, the child's world. I mean, if we're going to start looking at their world, what in the world does that actually mean? Let's break it down. Because the world sounds kind of big and vague, doesn't it? But it's not just this one giant, messy thing. You can actually think about it in layers, almost like an onion. And each of these layers plays a really important part in shaping who that child is and what they're going through. So you can think of it in three main layers. First up, you've got the immediate environment. This is their day-to-day reality, home, school. Then you zoom out a bit to the social structures. This is their friends, the neighborhood, their community. And then if you zoom out even further, you get to those big societal expectations, the culture, the unspoken rules we all live by. And the key is, all three of these are interacting with each other all the time. And when you take this wider view, it forces you to ask totally different questions. You stop asking, what's wrong with this kid? And you start asking, okay, what's going on with the family dynamics? What's the school environment like? What about peer relationships? See, every answer to these questions adds another crucial piece to the puzzle. You start to see the full context. Which brings us to our final point here, a new question. Because when you adopt this bigger perspective, it's not just about getting more information. It actually changes the fundamental question you were trying to answer in the first place. And let's be super clear about this. This is not about playing the blame game. It's not about saying, oh, it's not the kid's fault, it's the parents' fault, or the school's. No, it's about trading in the pointing finger for a magnifying glass. It's about getting curious instead of getting critical. And this right here is the core of the whole idea. You move from asking who is the problem, a question that's just looking for someone to blame, to asking what is the context, a question that invites you to actually understand. It's the ultimate shift, really, from judgment to curiosity. So that's the question we're going to leave you with. If we really make this shift, if we stop looking for a problem child and we start instead exploring the child's entire world, just imagine. What new solutions? What new kinds of compassion? What incredible new possibilities might we finally begin to see?